We want more. We want to look better, feel better, and even perform better physically and mentally. When I started running, I did it to lose fat, feel better, be more attractive. My original intention was to take better care of my health, but it hasn't always been that way. As we are getting fitter, leaner, run more, eat healthier, we can cross certain boundaries and healthy habits become unhealthy. And that's what today's podcast episode is all about, how sports and healthy eating can go wrong. Hello friend, if you are joining me for the first time, welcome. I'm your host Daniel Weiss, a certified nutrition coach, educator and an athlete. I've created this show to help you understand and simplify nutrition so you can focus on making educated choices and observe how your body starts feeling, looking and performing better. I've been working with people who simply want to look and feel better, recreational as well as elite athletes who want to challenge themselves, but also with fitness professionals. I know that becoming a better, fitter version of yourself will not be possible without the right mindset and habits that will get you through the hard times. So that is why I cover these topics as well. I would also like to bring to your attention the nutrition guides, meal plans and other resources that I have created over the years, and you can get them for free at danweiss.eu/guides. As a society, we put a lot of attention on fat. We talk about why we are getting fat and how to lose fat, how to prevent getting fat. We view or categorize people into fat people and people who are not fat. Athletes associate body fat levels with performance. In general population, we associate body fat levels with healthiness. Why is this a problem? Well, when we focus on fat first, everything else becomes an afterthought. Thinness is celebrated and considered healthy among average people, but also in athletes. But how you get and stay lean matters. And here is what I mean. People who focus on fat loss often do a lot of cardio and or eat too little, which can lead them to lose weight and may lead to increased body fat over a longer period of time. That's what I discussed in the previous episode. The exact opposite of what they want to do. Many people buy fat burners, supplements, and now even pharmaceuticals to enhance this process, make it faster, easier. But without lifestyle change, it doesn't really matter. It is also believed that leanness leads to enhanced performance and better health. Athletes of all levels, from amateurs to professionals, focus on reducing their body fat to perform better, run faster, or run longer, and ignore muscle mass, for example, and muscle quality, sleep, how they feel, and their mental well-being connected to eating, while pursuing the leanness. Many athletes achieve low weight through disordered eating and compensatory behaviors. Rhea Kolbel, who is one of the best Spartan race athletes, shared on their Instagram the other day. I never envied those who beat me. I envied the ones who ate a cookie without hesitation and those that were out having fun dinners with friends. The ones who weren't constantly hungry, who maybe didn't win as often, but when they did, they truly enjoyed it. With a post-race beer, ice cream on a hot day, a hug from loved ones, they weren't constantly mean to because they were hungry all the time. None of the wins and PRs and effortless climbs ever feel as good as the freedom you get when you fuel your life properly, both with food and with everything else you get to do. When what you do or don't do, it stops being the centerpiece of everything. Corey Bellemore, one of Canada's best 1500 meters runners, shared, "Unfortunately, when I was engaging in these destructive habits, I also ran my best personal record on 1500 meters. Chrissy Wellington, 4-time Ironman triathlon world champion, shared her experience with controlling overeating with training. Was I replacing the control overeating with training? Yes, of course. I have a controlling and addictive personality. Could that be unhealthy? Yes. Would I be susceptible to overtraining? Yes. Which is partly why I needed a coach. I started to run and decided to train for the London Marathon. And my perspective became even more disordered. I was already lean, but when I was gripped, I would set rules like not eating meat or carbs and counting calories. A friend would make me a hot chocolate or vegetable soup and sneak in loads of full fat into it. And my mom would visit and cook lasagnas and quiches for me, but I would give it all away. Look, there is a fine line between healthy, goal-oriented, and disordered behaviors. For example, I turned to food and exercise to make me leaner, healthier, and more resilient physically and mentally. That's why I started exercising, eating better, and taking care of myself. But when I started exercising, the more I did it, the more rigid my regime became. Some people would call it discipline, but when I look back, it was not. For example, I was skipping meals, and it felt like an achievement to me. I ignored how sore or tired my body was. And I exercised anyway. I was constantly trying to optimize every bite of my food, seeking better health, better performance. I was also convinced that skipping training or taking it easier were signs of weakness. I considered myself to be so disciplined and so committed to my goals. And I really was. But what I was doing led to short-term improvements at the expense of long-term health detriments. And as I was learning more, I became more aware of my own behaviors, and I started noticing and seeing them around me, not only in people who want to lose some extra few pounds, or maybe to improve their performance, especially in running, but even in personal trainers, dietitians. Well, in the end, they are people too. Many personal trainers and dietitians have actually eating disorders or disordered eating. Just to clarify, disordered eating means that you do certain behaviors related to food that might be interfering with your life, have a negative impact, but it's not clinical eating disorder. Many people who are into fitness and sports develop also body dysmorphia. And the problem is that some of that is unintentional, and if they project that unintentionally or intentionally on their clients. So here are a few red flags I want you to watch for. Not eating because it is not the time to eat, despite being hungry, so ignoring your hunger. Binge eating. Feeling guilty about food that you ate or not ate. Exercising harder or longer so you could eat more, or after you ate more. Feeling bad for not exercising. Feeling bad for eating on a rest day. Checking your body in the mirror several times a day. Eating or exercising to avoid problems in the other areas of your life. exercising hard despite feeling tired, excluding foods or whole food groups for no medical or ethical reasons, avoiding eating in social situations, so separating yourself, avoiding eating foods that you don't know how to track, and using copious amounts of protein and vegetables to push down the hunger, and instead of eating something that is more nutritious and more calorie dense. If you check several of these or you see that in someone else, pay attention. These are really red flags. And that's also why I place a lot of importance and emphasis on the mental side of eating. Most people don't need strict, repetitive meal plans or unnecessary dietary restrictions and spending hours exercising to achieve their health and fitness goals. They simply need to learn the basic principles such as energy balance, macronutrients, how to make a balanced meal, how to improvise when on the go or basically when eating outside of your normal circumstances at home, and how to manage emotions without food. And last but not least, how to create systems to make it all easier. This is what runners don't want to hear, but they should. A recent study shed light on low energy availability, disordered eating and exercise dependence, and dietary habits among trail runners. The study involved over 1,400 women and 510 men aged between 18 to 45 years of different performance categories. And what they found was really interesting. 66.7% of female and 25% of male runners fell into the risk group for low energy availability. That's a huge problem. Often it is unintentional. And if you want to learn more about low energy availability, I will leave a link to another podcast episode in the show notes. 48% of female runners and 27% of male runners fell in a risk group for disordered eating. As I mentioned, disordered eating are less severe, but they precede clinical eating disorders such as anorexia. And those include behaviors such as excessively restrictive eating habits, skipping meals, or excessive exercise as a compensatory mechanism to offset overeating or as a means of controlling their body weight. Exercise dependence symptoms were found in a whopping 87% of all respondents. The major categories of these symptoms are withdrawal, that means feeling anxious, irritable, or restless when you can't exercise. Continuation, which means exercising despite experiencing physical or mental problems. Tolerance, the need to increase the intensity, duration, or frequency of exercise to achieve the desired effects. And we are not speaking about physical performance effects, we are speaking about mental effects, so tolerance. Lack of control, that involves difficulty controlling the amount of exercise or unsuccessful attempts to limit it. Activity restriction involves sacrificing social, occupational, or recreational activities in favor of exercise. Men scored higher in tolerance, while female runners in abstinence, continuation, and lack of control. They also found problems in replenishing energy, which contributes to low energy availability. 49% of athletes had inadequate carbohydrate intake during the workouts exceeding 2.5 hours, so those training and running longer distances. While 23% didn't meet the requirements or what they should cover in 1 to 2.5 hours. And what are the implications of all of this? Well, the chronically low energy intake compromises both health and performance. But performance usually only starts to decline after health problems already present themselves. Just like that Canadian runner. She performed better, she even PR'd while she was doing all those unhealthy habits, not taking care of herself, suffering from disordered eating, but still PR'd. Exercise addiction is often glorified in running communities. We pat on ourselves on the shoulders, and especially men, they want to, be better than the other men or constantly challenge themselves. That's kind of our nature. But it can also lead to overtraining and burnout. Unfortunately, a lot of attention is placed in these fitness spaces on weight and physique in sports. In doing so, a lighter runner is not always better. I also have an article about it, so go check that out if that's something that you are interested in. Education and support are key in promoting balanced nutrition and progression in the sports. Sometimes, just having good information is enough. For many people it is. Other times, you need to work more closely with experts, dietitians, and sometimes even psychiatrists or psychologists to help you with that. So I believe that everyone who is working with athletes, even amateur athletes, should check for these symptoms of exercise dependency, low energy availability, and so on. That's just the right thing to do. As you can hear, there is this common theme. We start exercising, start doing something because we love it, we want to get better, leaner, stronger. And as we are getting better, we are improving, sometimes we might not be aware that we are starting to push the boundaries a little too much. And that's why having that outside perspective sometimes is important. And another important factor is your surroundings, the environment, especially your social environment. So running clubs, especially those online clubs or online communities, can be really toxic in that sense, pushing yourself to always getting better, always doing more, and comparing yourself to someone who's been, training maybe for years more, or is just more genetically gifted, looking better. And I often also see runners post the pictures of what they eat or how they train that it has nothing to do with the way we should be fueling our bodies. And also understand that our fueling needs are unique to you. So having that runner who is like on a keto diet or whatever, maybe he's even performing really well. But first, you don't know if that's even true. Maybe he's selling his services, his ideas or whatever. And when he posts this avocado with 1 egg and 1 carrot after 20-mile run, you need to also understand maybe he's not doing the best thing for him. Maybe he can get away with it right now, maybe not later. And you have no idea what he's been doing before, what he's doing and eating aside from that one meal. So that's a very small snapshot. We cannot make decisions, or you should not make decisions based on that. But if you want to learn how to fuel properly for your specific needs and your individuality, then I have something for you, and that is a 15-minute strategy call during which I will ask you a few questions to understand you better, where you are, what your history is, how you are training, what your goals are, and I can give you more clarity based on that. And then if you need more support, we can talk about it later, how I can serve you and if I am a good fit for you, or if I can recommend to you someone totally else. So go schedule that call in the description down below. And as always, further information, links to articles and everything can be found in the description as well.